Okay, guys, so here is a lesson from actually chapter 4 that I did actually say we could get back to if we have extra time. And sure enough, we have a little bit of extra time. So, chapter 4, if you recall, had all to do with solving and factoring everything. And one method that you should know how to do coming up for your future coursework is known as completing the square. So, it's very easy. And of course, I want you to not forget about our good old note-taking strategy. So, our essential question we'll get to a little bit later, but it's all about completing the square, and there's basically a pretty good process for it. Okay, so what we are doing is we're taking these, and instead of factoring, instead of using the quadratic, we're going to solve by what's known as completing the square. One, you have to be in standard form, and you need to know your A, B's, and C's again. Well, remember, the A's come from the letter in front of the x squared, your B's come from the number in front of the x, and C comes from the last one, meaning our A is good old 1, our B is good old 2, and our C would be 1 again. Okay? I know you guys hopefully recall that, so instead of doing these other ones, we will get right to some practice, okay? So solving equations by completing the square, okay? So now we're solving by completing the square, and notice this looks a little different than before, okay? We're missing a C value, and pretend like we didn't know the quadratic at this time, but now we can solve by completing the square. So this is mainly useful for if you have x squared plus bx equals, we'll call it d. Okay, so ax squared plus bx equals d. Really, we want to make a perfect square trinomial. So what we'll do is we will rewrite the problem. So we're going to take the x squared minus 12x equals -4, and we're going to rewrite it with, so it's going to be x squared minus 12x, plus, I don't know, idk equals -4 plus, I don't know. Hang with me, okay? Now, find the value of b. Well, our b value is -12. And what we're going to do is we're going to take b over 2 and square it. b over 2 squared. b over 2 squared. Well, our b equals -12. Okay. We're going to use b over 2 and square it. So -12 over 2 squared, that's really -6 squared, and our IDK is that 36. Okay, so I don't know comes out to be 36. And we're going to add that to both sides. Got to find the I don't knows. And you'll see why we're doing this. Now, the cool thing about this is it's what we call a perfect square binomial. Okay, so by completing the square, x squared minus 12x plus 36 magically becomes x minus 6 squared, and that equals this combined equals 32. Okay, now let's actually just look at another example here. I know it's going to take some practice. You're like, where did that come from? Okay, x squared plus 4x equals 10. First, let's find our b. b is 4. And again, we're going to take b over 2, square it, and that means we're going to take 4 over 2 squared, which is really 2 squared, which means 4 is what we need to add to both sides. So we're going to take x squared plus 4x plus I don't know equals 10 plus I don't know. That b squared is 4. And 4, we get 14. And on this side, if you have plus, it's just going to be x plus 2 squared. You're like, why 2? 2 is the square root of 4. Okay? Simply put then, to solve this, all you would do is take the square root, boop, 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 and you would have x plus 2 equals square root of 14, and magically x equals negative 2 plus or minus square root 14. Okay, more examples. That's what all these are about. Let's just keep doing more examples. Okay, so let's first, okay, now we have a plus 3 here, so let's first add 3 to the other side. So we have the x squared plus 6x plus, I don't know, equals 3 plus, I don't know. How do we find the I don't know? Somebody? Anybody? B over 2 squared. B is 6. So 6 over 2 squared. That's really 3 squared. So we're going to add 9 to each side. Boom, boom. 12 equals x squared plus 6x plus 9. Can anybody guess what's going to happen here? Again, it's going to magically become x plus 3 squared. Again, plus. So plus equals 12. If we square root each side, plus or minus square root of 12, x plus 3, subtract 3, subtract 3, and your answer is x equals negative 3 plus or minus square root of 12. Now, really, if you wanted to get fancy, you could break up square root of 12. Okay, let's show one more example here. Okay, 2x squared plus 16x equals negative 12. This one, okay, first, let's get rid of this 2. Okay, so we're going to divide everything by 2, leaving us with x squared plus 8x equals negative 6. Now we shall complete the square. X squared plus 8x plus, I don't know, equals negative 6 plus who knows. Okay, how do we find it? B over 2 squared, which is 8 over 2 squared, which is 4 squared. I'm going to add 16. Boom, 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 boom. And x squared plus 8x plus 16 equals 10. Alrighty. This will become x plus 4 squared equals 10. If we square root each side, okay, we have x plus 4 equals plus or minus square root of 10. We're going to subtract the 4, and x equals negative 4 plus or minus square root of 10. Okay? If you need to take a moment back through, again, the little thing is, it's always going to transform into x plus whatever the square root of that last guy is. Okay, plus if it's plus, minus if it happens to be minus. Okay, like above here. Okay, so what your little test here is to do P2, to do P3, and to try out P4. Okay, that's what I will expect of you. And again, we'll have a little quiz at the end. And your essential question is... How do you find the I don't know value for completing the square? Okay, guys, so there's your EQ. Answer it, try those examples, show me, impress me, and thank you as always.